Hello, gorgeous. I have a story for you. What's so funny sometimes is when we go live on Instagram, people are joining us at all different times. And so I'm going to tell you the story and I'm not going to repeat it. So when you're coming in, and if you want to hear the story from the very get-go, if you want to hear the story from the very start, do be sure to rewatch this live so that you can get the story from the get-go. But basically, I found myself in this huge waiting period. And I basically, what happened was that I was meant to go to a conference in Florida. And I was actually meant to pick up an award in Florida. And I was meant to pick up an award because I had made over $1 million in my business and I was going to be celebrated in Florida at this incredible conference. And I had like a videographer plan and all this crazy stuff. And so that was in September. And in September, obviously, a huge hurricane went after Florida. Hurricane Helen came around, and so everything was canceled. Now we have Hurricane Milton coming, which is insane that like two hurricanes are coming so quickly. So I just hope if you're in Florida or in that area, I hope you're safe. I hope you and your family are getting prepared for that. But anyway, back to the story. My whole conference was canceled, and basically they needed to be able to reschedule it. And the time it took for them to reschedule made me pause on almost everything. So I had to pause on when I was going to schedule calls for my programs, coaching calls. I had to pause on a few other things like where I was going to travel, if I was going to go on a trip, if I was going to go on the retreat. It made me pause on a few of the initiatives I had going on. And I was in this pause period, this like waiting game for a few weeks, and it just drained me so much. I felt like I couldn't make any moves without knowing whether or not what's going to line up on my calendar. And it just made me think of back to when I started my coaching business. I was also in this period where I was really, really busy. So it was probably the most busy that I'd ever been at work at that point. I used to work at a university. I was also renovating my house. So you know how that is when a contractor is coming in every single day and you like don't even have a place to like put your stuff and you're just like all over the place. And then I also signed up for a half marathon. So me and my husband were running a half marathon at that point. And so almost every day, at least like 5 days a week ish, we were running, we were training, we were like running like for an hour together every day. And then on top of that, my father actually had cancer, and that was a second bout of cancer, and it was pretty extreme and pretty, life threatening. And so he was getting really advanced treatments in a hospital in Los Angeles. And at the time, I was living in San Diego. And so every weekend, like, this is my father, like, what else am I going to do? Every single weekend, I was driving up to LA from San Diego, which is a 2-hour drive to go see my father. And it was just really intense. And this is when I launched my coaching business. And so it was so easy back then for me to say, oh, I'm not ready. There's way too much going on in my life right now. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money, like whatever it was. And I think that when we lean into that waiting energy, when we're just paused and we're just hoping that the future will clear up a little bit more, or that we're just putting things off, it sucks. Like it drains your energy so much. Like you literally feel like crap. And that's where I was just a few weeks ago as I was waiting for that conference and all the things to kind of settle up. Like I was just in that waiting game. I wasn't planning anything. I wasn't putting anything on my calendar. I wasn't making moves. And it felt just, it felt so stuck, right? Like you're so stuck that you can't move forward. So finally, the new conference dates get announced. Now I have the new, knowing on my calendar how to put it, and I just go boom. Like it's big moves era. Like everything just falls into place. And I start booking things and doing things because I'm so over that waiting game. I'm so over feeling drained, like I can't take action on my dreams. And so what did I do? I immediately booked a trip to Mexico with my parents. So I love my parents to death. They're getting much older. My dad's actually 80. And so it's really something that's on my consciousness a lot to spend as much time as I can with my parents. And so I booked a trip to Mexico for a week with my parents right away after I'm done with the waiting, right? After that, I booked a retreat to Brazil, like an incredible retreat, a business retreat where I get to lean in and learn so much from mentors and just go all in on my business. So I booked that next. Then I hired a business coach. So I know that I have a big vision. I know that I have a really big goal and a really big life and business that I want to grow into over the next few months, even though I've already done so much in my life and business. But it's like the vision keeps growing, right? Like that's the point of growth. That's the point of like continual movement, right? And so I hired a business coach because I was like, we need this level of mentorship. We need these containers to get going, right? Oh, I love, Laura, how you say that, spending the time with our parents. I know it's just like that time we'll never get back, right? And it's so special to be conscious of that now while we still have them. And so next, I joined a 1 year long mastermind because I know that where I'm going, I need that level of support. I need that level of containership. I need people to hold me accountable to my goals and my dreams and really get the training and support from people who've already gone ahead of me. I'm going to an industry leaders event in LA, and I am going on a beautiful trip back to Florida so that after hopefully all the hurricanes hopefully stop ravaging the state and everything clears up, we're going to pick up an award for making over $1 million in my business. And so all of a sudden, it was all of these investments, all of these plans made, these plane tickets bought, the retreat, like the waiting sucked, right? That draining energy sucked. And I was just back into the zone of like, let's take action on things. And I felt like that this has happened many times in my business where sometimes you feel like you can't move forward because you're waiting for something. You're either waiting for more time, you're waiting for more money to come in, you're waiting for some future. And it feels actually so much ickier to be in that place than to decide that you don't need to wait any longer, that you don't need to wait for the perfect conditions, that you don't need to wait for the perfect time. Like we never have time as humans, right? That is like the quintessential thing we're all lacking in our lives. There's no magical time fairy that's like one day, here's all your time back, right? Here's just eons of time. Like everyone has busy lives. Like that's life. That's being human. And so it sucks sometimes, and it's part of like really leaning into your dreams and really leaning into your goals, is that you have to recognize that you're never going to have the perfect amount of time. You're never going to have the perfect finances or financial resources. Same thing as with time. We're always feeling strapped. There's always something that like our finances are going to. Our goals and dreams are only ever going to happen when we say, you know what? It doesn't matter if I don't have the perfect time. It doesn't matter if I don't have the perfect financials. I am going to go all in on this now. I'm going to take a leap of faith and go into this now. And when I shared with you earlier how when I started my coaching business, I was so busy at work. I had, my father had cancer and was visiting him on the weekend and driving up to see him, and how I was running a half marathon and I just had so much on my plate. I'm so proud of the version of me who said yes anyways to going for the dream business to lead me to where I am today. And so maybe, for you, whether you're, feeling in that waiting game for your business, maybe you're feeling in that waiting game of really going all in on an alcohol-free lifestyle, let me just tell you, waiting sucks. That waiting drains us. We feel less motivated because of the waiting. We feel so much more like we lose the momentum. We lose the sense of passion and purpose when we're in that waiting game. When we're in that place where we're just waiting for things to line up, like it just feels like everything's actually out of your control in that moment. So whether you're waiting, to actually finally have the time to change your relationship with alcohol, or you're waiting to finally launch your coaching business, or you're waiting to finally make the next move into mentorship or whatever that looks like, I know personally how draining that literally is, and how we lose our passion, our momentum, and we never come up on the other side with this perfect amount of time and this perfect amount of like clarity. It's just we lose the gift that we're given in that moment of that beautiful, like heart-centered, like dream, like to say hell yes to. And so for me, like I just shared, once that conference date was finally established, I was like, okay, it's time to go. And this last week of making big moves, it's literally been the last week that I just booked all this stuff. I booked my Mexico trip, I booked the Brazil retreat, I booked my new business coach, I booked a mastermind. Like I feel infinitely better because all of this makes me feel like I'm actually being supported. Like I actually have a vessel that is going to be guiding me and holding me for these big visions. Waiting sucks, right? Waiting feels so draining. And so I'm curious for you, whether you relate to the business side of it or you relate to something else that you have been waiting on, something that you're not moving forward with because you're waiting, because you're like waiting for the perfect time, you're waiting for the perfect conditions. that never happens in life. It's almost like they say when you're ready to have a baby, you're never ready to have a baby. You'll never be ready to have children, right? And if we always wait for that, it'll never happen. And that's what I think is so beautiful about living a really empowered life is that you take leaps of faith before you feel ready. You actually move forward into what you want and you move forward into the things that you're claiming before you have everything else figured out. And I know that sounds kind of maybe even chaotic, or like maybe how is that going to actually line up for me? And I'm not talking about doing all things at all the time, all at once. What I am talking about is using your heart and really connecting with your intuition about what you want most. And when you know what you want most is clear to you, then the other stuff, the logistical stuff, the like, oh, how am I going to figure out the time, or the other things, it doesn't matter. You know, if you're waiting to start your alcohol-free journey, but you're waiting after you get home from a vacation or after the holidays or something like that, you're only going to feel worse, right? When we actually get started and we commit and we go all in on something, we feel freedom. Like we feel freedom when we go all in and we commit. And I feel so free because in the last week, really, I've made so many big moves into my own business, into my own coaching, into my own development and my lifestyle and my health as well. And I feel better. I feel empowered. I feel like things are actually happening. And I think that when we have big dreams and big goals, like the worst energy we could possibly be in is the waiting. Because here's the thing. When you've done enough inner work on yourself, you don't start to tell yourself, oh, my dreams are impossible, right? You don't keep telling yourself, this will never happen. You actually tell yourself an even sneakier story. You tell yourself, I'll do this later, right? So it's like, I will do it. Don't worry, my goals, my dreams, they're there. I promise you I'll do it. You don't talk yourself out of them necessarily, but you just tell yourself that you'll do them later, which is even worse. Oh my God, Nora, it's so good to see you waiting to retire. Then what, right? And so it's even worse sometimes when we tell ourselves that lie that I'll do this later, because we push off the passion and the purpose to a future and we lose the momentum. We lose the heart-centered, intuitive pull that's actually driving us to want to move forward. We lose that. And then what? We're like 1 year later and we don't even know what's going on. We never made any progress on anything. And so I think that's the sneaky thing we have to look out for as when we're into this alcohol-free life, we're into the personal growth life, we're into, really living out our passions and our purpose. Where are we telling ourselves that I'll do something later? And how is that actually stealing and robbing our momentum and our passion in the moment, right? That waiting game is so icky. You just feel like, oh, I'm kind of making progress because I've mentally compartmentalized myself into doing something later. But then I don't really even have the accountability or the commitment to do it. Like nothing feels so good as finally just signing up for the thing. Like if you want to run a half marathon and you're like, should I not? Like nothing feels so good to just finally sign up for the half marathon and get that ticket and know that now you have something to train for. We need that structure. We need that implementation around us. We need that container to tell us this is actually real. And so if you are interested in becoming a coach and growing your coaching business, what is actually going to make that real for you? What is the structure? What is the container? What is the implementation that's going to make it real for you? Because as long as it's just this dream in the mind and you're hoping and wishing that one day it will happen, or later it will happen, or later you'll join this thing, or later you'll do that. Like, honestly, we don't. We really don't. When we put stuff off like that, we don't really do it, or we lose a lot of time, even if we finally do. So if you do want to become a coach, if that is your next level goal, what will bring later to today? What will get you stop waiting? What will actually get you and drive you to take action today? Because trust me, nothing feels better than taking action. And I don't mean like doing a million things in an hour. That's not what I mean about taking action. What I do mean by taking action is making commitments, having focus, saying this is what I'm going to do and locking it in. That feels amazing, right? So I hope that inspired you wherever you are in your journey, whether you're, recommitting to your alcohol-free journey, if you're committing to your entrepreneurial journey, your coaching journey. I wanted to let you know also that we do have our Empowered AF Coach certification where you get certified in 5 different modalities starting this fall on October 18th. So it is just less than 2 weeks away that we are starting. This is my signature program on mastering the 5 modalities you'll need as a mindset coach, an alcohol-free life coach, a success coach, an NLP practitioner, and a hypnosis practitioner to get you a full-fledged coaching business up and running. And we spend equal amounts of time, which is really interesting because most programs don't do this. We spend an equal amount of time training you as a coach as we do on the business. So it's 5 months on the coaching training and then another 5 months on the business. And in the middle, we actually meet in Palm Springs and we have a beautiful 4-day retreat there that's all included in your tuition. We are down to our last final spots in this fall round. So if you and I haven't talked yet, basically what you'll do is you'll submit an application right now because you'll take action. You'll feel so good that you've committed, that you've put the focus down on paper, that you're not playing this waiting game anymore. We'll talk on a quick 30-minute call. We'll see if it's a good fit for you, and then you'll get your invitation to join. If you've already gotten your invitation to join, you know when it starts, October 18th. We are, have a last few spots left. So I do wanted to be sure that you lock in your spot as well. It will feel so good to know that you're going to be taken care of the next 10 months. We are going to grow and launch your coaching business together. So you can check that out at becomeeuphoric.com/certification. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm an open book. Alexandria says she's signing up tonight. Amazing. So exciting. We literally have our last few spots left. I had a ton of interviews today. I have a few more to go before I close up shop today. I'm so passionate about helping alcohol-free women lean into their entrepreneurial dreams and get the freedom, the autonomy, the abundance, all of the things that they hope for and are searching for in life. And I really do know that, when we go through our own lessons, like when I was just going through my own waiting period for a few weeks, I felt so drained. I felt so uncommitted. I felt like nothing was making progress. And the second I started making decisions and really putting things on the calendar and putting money down and all that kind of stuff, I feel so free and so empowered, and it's a whole brand new energy. So I just did a reel today about my big moves era. Go check it out. And if you're coming in late, do be sure to watch the beginning of this live. It'll be reposted about how waiting around for, something to happen, for your alcohol-free life to start, for your coaching business to start, for your coaching business to get to the next level will always feel like shit. And then the only way we can actually move through that is to start committing and taking action. And that actually feels so much more supportive and so much more like you're being held and supported than just having everything swimming in your mind. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you're having an amazing day. It's so good to see you. I will see you next time. The next time I'm live, feel free to drop into my DMs if you have any question. If you already have a coaching business, let me know how you're doing. I'd love to support you. I really do believe that we need more leaders out there. I'm not meant to change 7 billion people's lives around their relationship with alcohol. I really believe that I'm here to support more leaders. So if you're a leader who wants to get to the next level, I'd love to touch base with you too and see how you're doing. If I can support you anyway, maybe we can get you on my podcast. Maybe we can get you some new marketing strategies that are going to get you to the next level. Drop into my DMs, okay? Any questions about the certification or any way I can support me, just do so. I hope you have an amazing day.